Okay, people, let me shift to the two teams up in New York, the New York Jets and the New York Giants. I've gotten a chance to watch every single NFL team at least once this year, and I've seen every single game that the Jets and Giants have played, sadly, because there's been a lot of bad football, okay? Both teams are winless as of right now. Both teams have, 4 losses and 0 wins. And I've watched every single team, like I said, and by far, the New York Jets and the New York Giants are the two worst teams in all of football as we speak today. Now, I'm recording this episode early on Sunday morning, so maybe the Jets surprise the Cardinals, maybe the Giants surprise the Dallas Cowboys. I do think that Dallas has a chance to lose to New York just because Dallas is not a very good football team, and New York actually looked pretty good, last week versus the Rams. They were in that game, so I won't be shocked if, Daniel Jones and Joe Judge and the crew finds a way to beat Dallas. But as I speak today, I'm very confident in saying that the Jets and the Giants are just not good football teams. They are the two worst teams in all football, okay? When I look at the Giants, I said in the offseason that the Giants would be a 4-win football team, and based on the way things are looking right now, you might get less wins than that. This team is just not very talented. They have a bad offensive line. The wide receiver core is a mess outside of Darius Slayton. Daniel Jones has looked a mess this year at times. On the year, Daniel Jones has thrown 2 touchdowns to 5 interceptions through 4 games played with a 68.3 passer rating. And listen, there's not a whole lot of talent around Daniel Jones at the moment, so I'm going to cut him some slack because he's not been given a whole lot to work with. Saquon Barkley is out for the season, but Daniel Jones' turnovers continue to be a major issue for the Giants. And the one thing you can control as a quarterback is taking care of the football. And Daniel Jones, he just has not done that. And that's a major concern because Daniel Jones, he was a turnover machine last year despite, having a good solid rookie season. He turned the football over a lot last year. And so far, the turnover issue has not been corrected. And Joe Judge, I was not sold on Joe Judge as a head coach, heading into the year. And so far, I'm not completely sold right now at all. And ultimately, if this Giants team continues to look as bad as they've looked at times, Joe Judge is going to be out the door within the next 2 seasons probably, okay? That's just the harsh reality. And the Jets, the Jets, they're a mess as well. I will say I do think that the Giants are more talented than the Jets as of right now. If both teams were to play on a neutral site field, I would probably favor the Giants over the Jets, but you can convince me that the Jets, could beat the Giants. Either way you slice it, both teams are bad. Like I said, the Jets have just been a mess. Adam Gase, I don't know why he still has a job. He's continued to ruin this team. He's not a great head coach. He should probably have never gotten the job. Todd Bowles wasn't the greatest coach in the world, but Adam Gase was brought in to help improve Sam Darnold and that offense. And I've not seen anything creative offensively from Adam Gase at all this season in New York. Adam Gase, he doesn't make adjustments. He's not creative. There's no presence about, Adam Gase. And listen, I don't want to hear the excuses about, Adam Gase doesn't have talent. Brian Flores last year did not have a lot of talent on his roster. The Dolphins literally traded away all of Brian Flores' good players at the start of the season last year, and that team still made progress at the end of the year. We all know the Jets are not going to make the playoffs. We all know the Jets aren't very talented, but this team is not making progress week to week. In fact, recently, the New York Jets just lost on Thursday Night Football to the Denver Broncos 37-28, and the Broncos were starting a third-string quarterback. The Jets were +3 in the turnover margin. They were at home. They caught the Broncos on a short week, and they still lost by double digits at home. That should tell you all you need to know about the New York Jets. Not to mention Drew Lock, Cortland Sutton, Noah Fant, Von Miller, Jarrell Casey, A.J. Boye, and Matt Barron all did not play for the Broncos. So the Broncos backup squad just came into New York and beat the Jets by double digits. And Sam Darnold is having some very similar problems to Daniel Jones. Again, let me be very clear. I think Daniel Jones and Sam Darnold both have potential as quarterbacks. And I've always said I need to see about 3 to 4 years from a quarterback before I truly judge what they are. Because, your rookie season, you probably get drafted to a bad team if you're a high draft pick, which Daniel Jones and Sam Darnold were. They were high draft picks that went to bad teams. And listen, the speed of the game in the NFL, it's a lot different from the college level. It's night and day. I'm willing to be patient with Sam Darnold and Daniel Jones, but very similar to Daniel Jones, Sam Darnold has problems on tape that show up that just concern me, man. Listen, Sam Darnold is very inaccurate at times. Sam Darnold has some just very head-scratching turnovers that I'm like, what are you doing, Sam Darnold? And like I said earlier with Daniel Jones, I need you to control the things that you can control. And Sam Darnold, he can control being more accurate. Make good decisions. Don't fumble the football. Don't turn the football over. Control those things. And Sam Darnold, he has not controlled those things from time to time. It doesn't help when Sam Darnold is running for his life behind a bad offensive line. He doesn't have very many weapons. I mean, Jamison Crowder, Jeb Smith, and Chris Hogan are his best weapons at wide receiver. And Chris Herndon is his tight end. And while Chris Herndon is a decent tight end, on most teams, he's not going to be the starter. And not to mention, Sam Darnold's best running back is Frank Gore, who's 37 years old and well past his prime. And ultimately, if I were to project as of right now, I gotta say, it looks like the New York Jets and the New York Giants are going to be picking top 3 in the NFL draft. And one of these teams will have an opportunity to maybe draft Trevor Lawrence. And so far, I haven't dove into the film enough to say that the Giants or the Jets should move on from Sam Darnold or Daniel Jones, but you have to at least highly consider this because Sam Darnold and Daniel Jones, I don't care what anyone says, they are not nearly as talented as Trevor Lawrence, and Trevor Lawrence is a generational talent. I don't see that generational talent from Sam Darnold or Daniel Jones. And one of these two teams is going to need to make a decision. Do I stick with Sam Darnold? Do I stick with Daniel Jones? Or do I draft Trevor Lawrence? And honestly, drafting Trevor Lawrence might be the best move because we saw the Arizona Cardinals move on from Josh Rosen and they drafted a generational talent in Kyler Murray, and their team has taken off ever since. So all I'm saying is, Jets and Giants fans, your team is not very good, and don't be surprised if your team is drafting for another quarterback in the 2021 NFL Draft. Thank you so much for watching this video today. Please also note that the Juice Alert Sports Podcast is not just a YouTube channel. It is available on all podcasting platforms, including Spotify, Google Podcasts, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts. Also, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share this content with all your friends. This podcast is my favorite thing in the entire world right now. It is my passion. And I want more people to listen to this podcast. I really want this podcast to grow. Also, a fun fact about me is that I want to go into the sports broadcasting and media world once I graduate from the University of Toledo, a college in Northern Ohio. I am looking to become one of the next great sports broadcasters and analysts out in the world. And I potentially would like to start my own network if this podcast really truly grows. Or if I fall short of that goal, I would love to work for a big-time network like ESPN or Fox Sports 1. I am open to all networks. So if you believe in my dreams and you see or hear my passion through the screen, be sure to tell all your friends about the Juice Alert Sports Podcast. Stay motivated, you guys. Have a God-blessed day, and I'm out.